sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. See the horizon turn us to thousands, and we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon turn us to thousands, and on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and
walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Invincible. Got your rock side, says one to the left, circle the shot, scores! And the Zydeco. Welcome back here, everybody, to the Queen here in 1717. We thank them for allowing us to host this coach's show. With me, as always, is head coach Everett Thompson as we recap the last weekend against the Bobcats as we headed up to Wytheville. And we're going to be taking a look and a gander at the next weekend against the Athens Rock Lobsters. Well, hello, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you. Of course, with me, as always, is head coach Everett Thompson. Last weekend, the Zydeco went up to take on the Bobcats in Wytheville. It was a 17-hour trip, and we actually got a new bus to sleep in. What'd you think of that?
Yep, it's always nice to get a little upgrade in that sense. New sleeper was big for us. Game changer.
Yeah, I mean, being able to sleep on the bus, that really was a game changer. But, so, when you guys played in Wytheville, what was the atmosphere like on the ice? Because I know looking at it from the bench, or beg your pardon, from the booth, it seemed like it was a playoff atmosphere.
Yeah, I think most games this point forward are going to be in that sense of mentality. Every point kind of matters for seeding at this point. Especially this weekend was every game was almost worth 6 points essentially because of just of how this points work right now. So playoff atmosphere is pretty accurate.
So headed up to Wytheville, and you were able to split the series, and in the first game actually came back from behind down 2-1 late in the second period. And in the second game, not able to, but still made it very close in the third period. What does that tell you about your guys' determination here coming into the latter half of the season?
Yeah, against almost every opponent so far, especially the latter half here, it's been one goal, 2-goal games here. Those are really the difference in just a few little mistakes here, whether or not we've won or lost both sides of it. It's just minuscule little minor things that the little small details that end up being what win you the game there. So this weekend was another thing. Come out, get the first big goal of the weekend here was huge, and then not to say we kind of lulled them into it, but they responded right away, and it stayed that 1-1. I thought for a bit there that we should have I think we kind of played down in that first game especially. I think we could have really ran away with it. They scored that second goal late and later in the game, and that kind of woke us up there. Good little comeback victory there. But at the same time, I think at any point in that game, we could have kind of taken it over. It's just one of those things we're still trying to fight and figure out get that playoff mentality for a 60-minute game.
So you mentioned 60 minutes here, and against the Bobcats, in the first game, I would say it was pretty much, it was off and on for the first 20, and for the final 40, obviously you guys were able to come out with a victory. So into that first 20 minutes where it was kind of a little bit of a back and forth, especially on the power play. You guys were able to strike twice on the power play. Game-winning goal in Game 1 was off of the power play. I want to talk to you about a little bit about that man advantage. How well do you think it's coming along, especially after last weekend?
Yeah, it's one of those things where down the stretch, special teams are one of the things, another thing that wins and loses your games here. You've got to really bury your power play opportunities, especially down the stretch here. You're only going to get maybe 2 or 3 of them in a game here. If you're lucky, you get 3 or 4. But it doesn't matter if you get them or not. If you don't cash in on them, they really don't matter. So kudos to the power play there, cashing in, saving us there, saving our bacon there, especially in regulation. It's always even more meaningful to get these games done in regulation. Get the 3 points. It's huge when we can ever get those all of them claimed.
So just taking a look at game number 1, in the first game, Garrett Lingberg, in his return to the FPHL, earns 2 assists, including a beautiful backdoor pass to Elijah Wilson for the game winner. Sam Bernard actually clutched up in the first game with a breakaway stop that led to the tying goal just a shift later. And Shane Haggerty kept the Zydeco alive just by hounding the puck and just keeping that cycle alive in the offensive zone, leading to the backdoor pass to Nick Catola. In Game 2, Bernard was pretty much consistent, saving 34 of 36, and pretty much stood on his head. Shane Haggerty again found the back of the net on the power play and able to strike again on the power play, speaking of. And I just want to get your reactions here to the weekend, especially when it comes to the top players, with Shane Haggerty getting that game-winning goal, or the game-tying goal in the first one, Sam Bernard making the clutch save, and as well as Garrick Lindbergh making his return here to the FPHL, earning a couple of assists. Yeah,
ultimately it's, some individuals get the big credit for the whole team. So, the whole team won. That's the big thing here, especially those 3 points there. It's always, goaltending's one of those things right now. Bernard played great this weekend here. Hags is kind of finding his own here, especially down the stretch here. He's finding the back of the net. But, any of those guys will tell you here, it's a team game here. It's all the guys pulling the rope here. It's not just, one guy necessarily doing it. All their line mates are also pitching in here, which is huge. And, at the end of the day, they're getting the credit for it, which is great. They're getting that statistical reward. But I'm telling you, at the end of the day, every guy in that locker room's pulling the rope right now for each other, and that's why they're getting this success.
Yep, and heading into the Rock Lobster series, definitely going to be relying on one another in the locker room to kind of pull it out on the ice. So in this series against the Bobcats, again, we mentioned playoff-style hockey, playoff atmosphere, especially ice level. What was your main takeaway from this series?
This is a team that we've talked about. We might be seeing them early on in the playoffs here right away. So if the playoffs were tomorrow, we'd be seeing them especially. So it's just one of those games where you got that in your back of your mind, so you are feeling it out a little bit more. This is, but at the same time, once push comes to shove, it was just it was a good battle this weekend. The pucks were, could have gone either way. I think, like I said, there was a few instances in both games where I think, we could have taken it over a little bit more than we did, and kudos to them for sticking around and making them both games. But those are games that we have to find ways to earlier in the situations bury some capitalize on some opportunities early on. Especially that second game, we had some power plays early that we just just couldn't find the back of the net on, and ultimately those are what a 1-goal game where you're. Even at the end, we don't like the result, how it kind of ended. It wasn't the best, to be honest. But, not really necessarily on us, but, on other factors. And, sometimes you don't really want it to even be lying into those situations. So, you got to take advantage early when you can.
So, in the first game, you mentioned very tight game and, power play aside, or I should have said the second game. Power play aside and the final result aside, it showed a lot of grit for you guys to battle back from a 2-0 deficit, especially in the third period. You did it in the first game, down by 1 after a Brendan Reller late goal. You guys were able to tie it, able to win it. So what does that showcase for you in terms of your team's mental toughness and grit?
Yeah, we have resiliency. It's one of the things we've had all season here. It's been pretty consistent here. We've got a lot of fight. We don't give up on games. Even when our backs are against the wall. We fight it harder. It's just ultimately you don't really want to put yourself in these situations here. You can't be getting down goals late in games. These are just situations that are hard to climb out of. It's one thing early in the year when we were putting ourselves in these situations and we kind of found ourselves on the lucky coin, finding some bounces. And, it's just one of those things where as the season progresses, those situations are really hard to climb out of. 1-goal deficits, 2-goal deficits, once you start to chase the game this time of the year, it's just a really hard game to chase.
So where does this series put your confidence in the team, especially after the comeback win on Friday? You mentioned you never want to see your team down in the third period, but the fact that you guys were able to battle back and stick with the game plan and able to come back, how much confidence did that specifically instill in your team?
I think it's one of the things where I think we ultimately know it's on us. The team that is going to win is in our locker room if we decide to show up and play our best hockey. If we don't play our A game, we leave it to fate. And that's one of the things, we've got to battle. We have to take these opportunities and really relish in them and take them and take full advantage of them. The guys know that these games are really meaningful. A year ago, we didn't get to play in a lot of meaningful hockey games. And now here we are, and they mean a lot. So, it's a quick learning curve here for some of the guys. The mistakes are massive now. They're more, exemplified more than ever here. But at the same time, we're even starting to hatchet down the mistakes we were making a couple weeks ago. As we're getting closer and closer, we're getting, we're fastening down the hatchets here. As we're getting into the storm here. So, we know what's coming. We're preparing, and we're doing the little things right here. It's just, once the puck starts falling here, I've been saying it, the last couple of weeks to some of the guys, there's no point in being super hot right now. It's great. Ultimately we have to define ourselves and start playing the right way, start playing the way that we want to define how we want to play in the offseason here, and the results will come. The results might not come this weekend. The puck's going to fall where it's going to fall. Puck luck is something that, you ultimately create through hard work, and when push comes to shove, we hope that the puck falls here in a couple weeks when it really matters here. We need it to start falling, obviously, now. Don't get me wrong. There's a sense of urgency that always has to be played. Professional hockey is, try out every single day. But at the same time, it comes back to the core of how we're playing. If we're playing the right way, the results are going to come.
So heading into this next weekend against the Rock Lobsters, it's no doubt going to be another huge series where, you guys are tied up with the Bobcats in the standings, and the thing is that you guys are, with you guys being tied, there's more at stake than just, who gets fourth or who gets fifth. It's who gets home ice advantage in the play-in round. And not to mention, Columbus is still within reach. So heading into this Lobster series, and then for the final road series, and also heading into the home stretch to end out the season, how much pressure would you say is building up here in the locker room to try to eke out some wins?
That's a funny question. I think pressure comes from the teams that have been around for a while and, have that, the veterans that are around and have been, that's pressure. The teams that have pressure are the guys that, like I said, they've been a while, they've been close and they haven't touched it. I don't think we really have that pressure. It's internal, don't get me wrong. There's definitely internal pressure here. We're going to be hard on ourselves here. We want to be the best we can possibly be. But we're a young group here. We're kind of that naive, person showing up not really knowing what's about to happen, which I think is actually one of our greatest strengths is, going forward and not necessarily having all the answers. Because, when you approach things like that, you'll find them, you'll gather them, whatever is going to come is going to come. And we're, as long as we're prepared within ourselves here, we're fine. We can't really worry about the other teams here. So I think the pressure is all about what you make it. There are some teams that have been around for a couple of years. They really want to win a championship. Don't get me wrong. We're in that same category, that same boat. But to say we have pressure is, we have a lot of guys that have never even played in the playoffs before. So,
So that would be an advantage, you think?
I mean, experience can be an advantage or it can be a disadvantage depending on how you look at it. If you've never won a championship, then, what's your experience matter? If you've never been there before and, the first time you go, you win a championship, it's a very playoffs is a very quick weekend, or it's a very long, couple of weeks for one team, and the puck's going to bounce quick, and it's a shift by shift thing. And at this level, any team can win. That's the disadvantage of a best of 7 series compared to a 2 out of 3 or a 1 in a play-in game is that anything can happen. Best of 7 kind of concludes the best team usually wins throughout that, but best 2 out of 3, you run into a hot goalie, you get some puck luck, you play some lockdown defense, and all of a sudden the weekend's over for one team really quickly.
Yeah, and and just talking about the experience real quick, I was talking to a lot of guys during this coaches show, and a lot of them are champions in their own right, in the juniors. And I know that juniors and majors are completely different animals, but just looking at, the guys who played on the Metro Jets, for example, they mentioned how similar their locker room culture in the Jets was to the Zydeco team. Do you feel like that kind of translates, not in the sense of, skill level, just in the sense of, that familiarity, that experience of being able to win a championship at the junior level here in the pro level?
Yeah, winners win. At the end of the day, the guys that are at this level, to get to this level, you've had to win somewhere. You had to have that drive. There's no, it's really hard for guys at this level, especially after you get to, you played college or you played juniors, The guys that really go far in this are the guys that have had a taste of winning or, got to the championship and lost. It's those moments, those that kind of define what you do with your career here. When most people kind of get to those situations, I'm not gonna lie, they falter. That's why at this level, it defines itself, it refines itself, and that's why the guys that do play keep showing up. There's an inner side hunger that you can't really necessarily put a value on it. There's no monetary, there's nothing like that can really suffice it. It's just it's winning a championship is something that these guys desire, and it's either you got to have it and you got to want it, and you've had to have tasted it, and at any level, it's juniors, high school, you've got to have won before to win again. It's one of those things where you've got to create that hunger to even want it.
Yeah, and just that experience at the junior level, do you feel like that kind of has a little bit of an addition here for these guys, especially with the guys who have, I would even say, been to the championship and lost? I know I've seen a couple of here on the Zydeco team where it's just like there's always there's a little bit of not spite, but like you said, it's hunger, where it's just like, I was so close to that in the junior level, I want to have it again here in the pro level.
Yeah, you can't. It's one of those things that you really can't. You can't build the chip on someone's shoulder any better than that, than getting all the way to the end of the journey and not getting the trophy. Why we play is for championships. The guys, they want to play for the call-ups, but this time of year, these guys are playing for championships. They're playing for each other here. The teams that are going to win are the teams that are playing for each other. All the selfish hockey, all that stuff goes away, and those teams falter in the dust. One weekend really shows what type of group you have. It's the funny thing about a 2-3 game series is that your back's against the wall automatically here. These are elimination games, right off the hop here. It's 1 then 2 and it's done. It's not a week or too long. You don't get to make a ton of adjustments here. You get to watch one game and then you see how that goes, and then right away you're playing again the next night. So like I said, momentum's a funny thing. If you can catch it this time of year here, you get a hot goalie. And like I said, defense is one of those things where you play defense. It's a full 60-minute fight for defense, and it's a funny thing with this level what happens when a team can really defend the back end here and you get 1 or 2 lucky bounces.
All right, so speaking of goaltending, we're going to talk about a little bit of a news development that happened with a hot goaltender up in Athens as we scout the Lobsters coming up right after this. Stick with us.
Plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails. Wall-to-wall, state-of-the-art TVs mean you'll see every touchdown, Hail Mary, and big turnover in crystal clear HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino in Baton Rouge, where every moment is a win.
The trust that we offer to our clients is actually, it comes pretty easy for us because we've been doing this a long time, and 90% of the jobs that we get are referrals. That's what we depend on, and we strive to let the customer know that we're going to be here. We will always answer the phone.
For over 90 years, Don's Seafood has been a Louisiana staple. From the finest Gulf catch to the most authentic Cajun recipes, our commitment to quality and tradition is who we are. Enjoy favorites like our gumbo, jacked up shrimp, seafood salad, steak, and of course, our signature seafood platter. Don's is more than just food. We're a celebration of flavor and family. From our team at Don's Seafood, we want to thank you for the last 90 years and cheers to many more together.
Welcome back here to the Queen here in 1717. Let's take a look at the opponents coming up here for the final road trip of the season. We're going to be scouting the Athens Rock Lobsters, and looking at their stats, not anything to overlook. 192 goals for, which is second in the division. 119 goals against for a 73 goal differential. Both of those are second in the division as well. a 24.5 power play percentage, which is ninth in the league, and a staggering 88.2 penalty kill percent, which is far and away the best in the league. And their record so far this season is 27-8-3-10 with 106 points. They are second in the division. Now, the last time these two hooked up was at Raising Cane's River Center, where the Lobsters took 2 games at a final score of 3-1 in the first and 4-1 in the second. The Zydeco have yet to win a game here against the Lobsters, and that is partly due to their top players. Garrett Milan has 90 points in the season, has a chance to get 100 alone just this season, and by far in the league leads in points and has a chance at the Triple Crown here in the FPHL, meaning leading in goals, assists, and points. Connor Shinkaruk leads the defense in the league as well as his team with 87 points and has a plus 32, which is by far best in the league. Philip Virgili has the highest scoring percentage on the team with a 16.6 and the second most power play goals on the team. But I have a little bit of news here as we sashay back into here in 17-17 about Josh Rosenzweig so far this season. 19-7-1 with a 923 save percentage and a 218 goals against average. The Rock Lobsters are going to be without Rosenzweig's services for the first 2 games as he was suspended immediately after the Monroe series. So that's a pretty big game changer here for you guys.
Yeah, they're a good team regardless of who's in net for them. Will Cavalieri is a good goalie as well. So, one player doesn't really define a team like that, especially a team like you said, all those numbers you were reading off there. They've obviously got the stats and all that stuff to back up, a good first season for them, which is, kudos to them. At the same time, it is what it is. It's a weekend of hockey here. It's a 3-game series here, and it's 2 or 3 weeks before playoffs here. It's just a great test for us here to put ourselves, in the situation and, against a team that's clearly, rolling right now. 9 out of 10 wins, 9 out of 10. You see that there. They're doing a lot of their things right. So it's one of those teams where, if you can go in and find a way to win, you're doing something right too. Last time we played them, 3-1, 4-1. I don't think that necessarily reflects the game. I think the last couple of times we played them, we've left at least 3 or 4 breakaways on the weekend away, just not in the net. So, once the guys start capitalizing here, pucks start falling for us a little bit here, I think these weekends will be a little bit different against Athens.
Yeah, and you mentioned, again, final scores don't really reflect just how close that this series has been. This season series, just taking a look at your guys' very first meeting. It was January 9th, a 4-3 shootout loss, which started off, I would say, pretty much, that just sums up what this series has been like. Even though, the next scores were 4-1, 6-2, 0-3, those games, a lot of them were either decided in the third period or it was just a couple of missed bounces that went against you guys. So coming into the series, I would say all the numbers that I was reading, it just shows how much grit you guys have as a team, keeping up with these Athens Rock Lobsters.
It's one of those things too. I think at the end of the day here, they're a good team. There's no doubt about that. But I just always look at it as, the team that wins the President Trophy, the teams that are chasing that in the regular season, it takes a lot of energy to do that. It takes a lot of, and teams that put up a lot of stats like this, there's something to it. They're not necessarily there. If you're putting up a lot of offense, there's something about your defense. So I think it's one of those things where someone's got to put a formula together here to beat them. It's going to take a lot of hard work. It's not going to be easy. Their top line is their top line. If you look at the resumes, they are where they are, But at the end of the day, we've played them to 2-goal games, 1-goal games here. And, you can throw out resumes. That's just like we talked about earlier. It's one bounce. It's one decision. Those types of things, as we get closer to playoffs here, one bounce can go either way here. We just need to find ourselves on the right side of it here, and ultimately you're going to get there by just outworking the opponent here, doing what you do best here, sticking to your structure here, and the bounces are going to come. I'm a big believer in that. If you play the right way, you play the way you want to play, As long as you're dictating in that sense, the puck's going to start to fall your way eventually.
And one reason I would say, at least in my own opinion, why these Rock Lobsters are so effective, especially at home, that is a hard and intimidating arena to play in. Athens Ford Arena, very loud, and you have the fans there just absolutely passionate about their Rock Lobsters. And in a big way, it's been a haunted house for pretty much all of the FPHL to go up in there and play. So what's one thing on the bench that you're going to try to do to kind of mitigate the crowd noise there and just kind of keep your guys' focus on the game?
You stick to the same game plan here. As long as the guys are on the same page and they know what the expectations are, they know what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish, then they can do the same thing. It doesn't matter the crowd noise, doesn't matter the atmosphere. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if we play in an arena or if we play in a tiny rink. If you play the way you want to play, like I said, you dictate the puck, put it in spots where you want it to. You're setting yourself up for success. Hockey's a weird game. Been watching the Red Wings my whole life here. The 0-2 Wings. That you never knew when they were going to win a game by 5 or if they were going to just squeak one out and lose one to Nashville after out shooting them by 75 shots. It's just one of those weird games at the end of the day. The puck is going to do what the puck's going to do. If you're putting the puck in the right spots for your team, hopefully you're putting yourself up for success here. But you don't guarantee that in hockey. So, like I said, you just got to repeatedly, continuously do the same things over and over again consistently, and that's what eventually makes the puck go in the net for you.
And heading into this final road trip here, what's the main goal for your guys, especially coming up against a red-hot Rock Lobsters team that you can pretty much – and I know measuring stick games is a cliche and you never want to hear it, but just something that you can kind of size up here against the Rock Lobsters?
I think at the end of the day here, we're in a playoff fight here for ourselves here. You can size up anyone here. This time they're a team that's in the playoffs and so are we. So, at this point, it's one of those things where you're just trying to redefine and, re-chisel everything you're doing right here and make sure that, you're doing it to the best of your ability here, especially down the stretch here.
All right, so what's one thing that you're going to be trying to focus on here against the Rock Lobsters to kind of focus and keep playing your brand of Zydeco hockey?
Like I just said a minute ago, just keep doing what we do best, of getting pucks deep, getting bodies to the net here, and, getting the puck a little high here and finding lanes here, and then playing relentless defense. Those are things that, we attribute to Zydeco hockey.
So in this point of the season, you would hope to have your identity. And would you say it's more of a offensive or defensive mentality here for you guys?
Hockey's one of those games where you only can dictate defense all the time. You don't get to dictate scoring. Goalie's there for a reason. They can be hot, they can be not. You're trying to make them not by doing the little things, getting in front of their eyes, finding lanes. But at the same time, defense is something you control all the time.
All right, so if you guys want to take a look at the Zydeco as they head up for their final road game here coming up in Athens, Georgia, you can subscribe here to the YouTube channel and just keep posted here on Zydeco TV, and hopefully we'll be seeing a couple of wins tomorrow, or beg your pardon, it's going to be Friday night at 6:05. You can watch it puck drop at Athens Ford Arena, and that one's going to be Friday the 28th, Saturday the 29th, and Sunday the 30th. The Friday and Saturday game is going to be at 7:05 puck drop or 7:05 Eastern puck drop, so 6:05 Central and 3:05 Central on Sunday, March 30th. So final road game here for the Zydeco before they head on back home here against the Watertown Wolves on April 4th through the 6th. If you want to get your tickets for that, dial up 225-515-PUCK, email Lucy at brzydeco.com, or visit the box office. They don't bite over there at the River Center, so make sure you guys are securing your tickets today because they will go fast. We have a couple of giveaways coming up in the next couple of weeks, so won't want to miss it. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Brian.
All right, next up, we will get to the brawling bruiser himself, Elias Thompson, to square up and see how the weekend went for him and get a little bit of his backstory as he joins us in the show as the Momentum Building Services featured player interview. Won't want to miss it. Stick with us.
Problems turning your life upside down? Trust Southern Air Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical to save the day. From electrical issues to keeping you comfortable, plumbing repairs, and even generators, we do it all. Southern Air Cooling, Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical, your one-stop solution for electrical, AC, plumbing, and generators. If you need us to save the day for you, call or visit us online at southernairbr.com.
Find more of what you're looking for at L'Auberge Baton Rouge. More of the games you love, more of the flavors you crave, more staycation relaxation. All this plus an exceptional staff. Add more to your story at L'Auberge Baton Rouge.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
There's a time we all know is coming, but nobody knows just when. If you don't have a plan or you don't understand how or where to begin, at church funeral services, we'll handle it all with care and passion. Church funeral services.
Welcome back here inside of the Queen here in 1717. And next up on the show, we got the brawl line bruiser himself, Mr. Elias Thompson. Just joining in, and, I just got to say, you're a lot more intimidating in person than you are on camera.
Here we go.
Even that is like, he just sits down like, here we go. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want to go with you. I would lose. I would just drop like a sack of rocks.
Well, that means I'm doing my job, I guess,
So, speaking of doing your job, the last couple fights that you got into, the first one, I'm not even sure that dude knew what planet he was on after the fight. What say you about that?
I got to give it to him. That's definitely something I didn't expect, come from him. But, I know him from before a few tryout camps, and he was doing everything he could. And, hey, you got to give him respect for obviously stepping way out of his weight class, height class, every class. And he actually put up a pretty good fight. So I was surprised, though, I tell you that. That's not the question I thought I was getting when I lined up for the face-off there. But, I mean, hey, I kind of wanted to – because I know him, you want to take it easy almost a little bit. But at the end of the day, you got to – it's game time. You got to do what you got to do. So, yeah, we had to unload. But
and, I mean, again, this guy, I just – even looking at you in practice, the way you skate, the intensity that you skate with, and where did you get the kind of fighting gene? What level of hockey would you say?
Well, the weird thing about it is, I never – growing up, even throughout juniors, I fought maybe one or two times, and it wasn't until pro when I, if you're over, 6 feet and over 200 pounds, and just obviously, like you said, you kind of just either you got it or you don't. Obviously, it's a lot more of a mindset than it always is with a physical thing. The physical thing's kind of obviously helps, but if the mind ain't right, I don't know where it came from. Probably the ancestors or something. It was just always there and needed to be woken up. But yeah, just got that fire.
He's got that warrior blood in him. But you just talk about if the mindset's right, you're willing to drop it, and just like as a fighter, as someone who can throw the gloves, when you initially do it, like take me back to your first fight. When you first did it, what was going through your mind?
The first couple of real ones, they were definitely, obviously, it's no matter what you do, you're gonna be nervous. I don't care if you have the upper hand or not. Like it's just, that situation, the fight or flight mode. It's go time. So, my first couple of ones, I was literally shaking. Like you don't realize it because you kind of blank out during it because you're so much adrenaline going and stuff, and obviously your mind's on one thing. But I used to especially after the fight, I'd be in the box and. I'd still my body, my legs would be just, I'd be shaking. But over the the course of the last 2-3 seasons, now it's a little more controlled. Like obviously you still get that. It's almost like laser focus, like intensity. It's still there, but it's more. You're more comfortable. You're more confident with it. So it definitely helps because before I remember just, I had kind of an idea, but also it was just there was. Just too much adrenaline, not enough, calmness to really make it as good as it could have been,
Yeah.
But I made it. I survived somehow.
No. And thankfully the other person is still with us, too.
Yeah, right, yeah.
No, and the reason why I asked, too, because it is a mentality thing. When it comes to just like, I even if it's just dropping the gloves, passing the puck and shooting the puck, I would say that hockey is one of the rare sports where it's like it's all about the mentality. It doesn't matter if you're a goal scorer or if you're a fighter, because I doubt that a top line goal scorer like say like Elijah Wilson or Kuzi can drop the gloves like you do, and it's just like it's just again it's all the mentality where it's just like when you drop the gloves, like you said, it's a laser focus. You're just focusing on a I guess not going down.
Yeah, it's some people obviously got a little more natural than others, but it's also something that's super, it's definitely something you got to train and build into. Like I think almost everyone has that potential in them to be that fight if they have to. It's just most people go their whole life and they don't have to ever bring it out, for the most part. So it's like there, but if it's not like it's obviously going way out of your comfort zone. So if you're not comfortable doing it, it's gonna. Not saying they couldn't, but it's just not something that's normal, like for them as often, obviously, as for me. But yeah.
I like how I mentioned the two players that I live with up in the hockey house. They're gonna be waiting for me outside on the drive. Like, fight back.
To be honest, though, Wilson, if you get him pissed off enough, he's better, and he'd surprise some people, I think, and then.
Really?
Kuzi, if he gets pissed off enough, you never know. But that's the thing. You just gotta. He's just not in the routine, obviously, on the ice. Like that's why I'm here and there to score, and so for the most part, so they don't have to think like me. Half the time, like during the games, I'm not even. Obviously, I'm thinking about hockey, but like I'm almost on lookout, for something going wrong, someone hitting one of our guys wrong, and those guys gotta focus more on the game. So that's how it works.
So. Just what does fighting accomplish in a game? I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it's just about, sending a message. It's about gaining momentum. But from your perspective, you go out there, you drop the gloves. What are you doing it for?
Pretty much for that. It's almost, I always say, it's called the enforcer for a reason. So if something goes wrong, you want the other team to know that if they take a liberty on your players or whatever it may be, that they're going to have to pay for it. And then also, your presence just being known there, like hopefully these guys, it's almost an intimidation factor in a way. So they're going to play a little less. Like if they have a guy on the bench that's going to come after you, that, that's obviously sitting in the back of your head the whole entire game, But yeah, it also, obviously it swings momentum, gets the guys going. I mean, look at like UFC or any sort of fighting event. Like people that don't even care about fighting still go to it. It's just, a lot of energy. So, that aspect. And then, yeah, pretty much, I guess that's pretty much all there is to really say about it. Obviously sticking up for your guys. And then, yeah, it does. It can change the course of a game, and it just almost more of a safety thing than anything. It's not like for me. I don't go out there looking to be the bad guy. I'm almost looking to be like you start the war, I'll come end it.
That's a hard line.
And then if I don't have to do nothing and nothing happens to anybody, then that's perfect. It's like just like kind of being like a security guard.
So it's kind of like in hockey. It's what the refs miss, you certainly don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like during the game, I'll keep my eye out, behind the play if I see something or something like that. Like I said, if I don't have to do anything good, that means like they're noticing. But sometimes you get bored. You always got to touch up on your craft. So maybe sometimes I'll have to mix it up a little bit, start something.
Yeah. Well, sometimes. Just don't start with me, yeah?
No, you're good. You're good. Just don't touch my players.
There you go. So, just taking a look here at your career, you started off in the NA3HL and SIJHL. In the SIJHL, you spent 2 seasons, the NA3 for 2 seasons, and finished back in the SIJHL for 2 seasons, starting off with the Thief River Falls Norskies before moving on to the Minnesota Rangers of the SIJHL. So, getting into your, flashing back here into your junior career, what was the biggest jump between the NA3 and the SJHL?
Honestly, it depends where you're playing at. To me, they were pretty equal. At the SIJHL was a little more physical. That's Canadian Junior A, so it's kind of like the NAHL here. So like all those guys that didn't make it to the WHL, the OHL, things like that, they were in those leagues, and those leagues are pretty competitive. I'd say the SIJHL is a little better hockey overall, a little more physical, a little rougher. But the NA3 team I was on in Alexandria was also really good. They had a few guys on that exact team that went to the SPHL. A few guys have a few coast games. So overall, it was just a little rougher, I'd say, in the SI than it was in the NA3.
Because when I worked in the NAHL, we looked at guys from the NA3, and from my vantage point, I'm not a coach, I'm not a scout, but just looking at the guys from the NA3, it's just like it seems like they can slot into the NA squads, just fine. So, just from you as a former NA3 guy, what's the biggest difference, especially from the NA3 and the SIJHL? The biggest leap in difference between a Division III hockey and a Division II hockey?
Honestly, I'd say everyone's just more sound fundamentally. Sometimes the NA3, depending what division you're in, you got guys that are playing in the NAHL to start the year. So, my division was pretty good. I think that was either Midwest or Central. I don't know what it was, but it was pretty solid for that league. And then I'd say the biggest difference is these guys that are better at the fundamentals can be a little better in all situations, better, quicker passes, better skaters, a little more speed. And that's all it really is. The difference, I think, is pretty much that, because everyone can kind of blend in. But, it's to be productive at a certain level, that's where it really shines. You could put anyone anywhere that can skate, relatively at that level, and they can blend in. But then, where do you go from there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes all the sense. And, for you, obviously, going in from the NA3 to the SIJ, and just the 2 seasons that you see, 22 points in 51 games, and 2 seasons with the NA3, and with the Iron Rangers earning 12 points in 27 games, you seem to slot in pretty well with those junior squads. What was the main memory that you just look back on in fondness from your junior years?
I don't know. I think it was being away from home for the first time, and I really like traveling around, and seeing different parts, of the world, and obviously playing a game, having fun, just living. It's the ideal life. That's why I'm still here now. Just moving around, training, playing hockey. That's there's so many. There's no like one particular memory, but just all of it, the whole experience in general, I'd say.
Yeah, and just looking at your track record here from the NA3 and SIJ, you did a lot of traveling.
Yeah, I've been all over.
So
don't regret a bit.
No,
it's all worth it at the end of the day. Even the trips that sometimes stuff gets taken from you or something like that. Those still, man. Everything's just a learning experience.
Yeah, and very positive outlook on life. And I think that's the one thing that you have a common denominator with a lot of your brothers in the locker room is that there's always that sense of positivity. For anybody at home that may not know, on his way back here to the FPHL, if you don't mind me telling the story.
All good, yeah.
Elias actually got his car stolen with every single one of his possessions in there, and the one thing that he told me as we went on air is, I'm still living, I'm still here, and I'm still playing hockey. That's the only thing that matters, and it's just like, I can't even imagine being in that situation, let alone having the amount of positivity that you have right now.
I always say the only time is now. Everything that happens, but that's where you're at, despite whatever. You got to move north. It's you obviously reflect, so hopefully you plan a little different in the future to avoid situations like that. But yeah, it's everything from dust to dust. So all material things always can be replaced. It's just your health. That's your wealth to me.
Yeah.
Overall, just being able to do what you love and live life that way. Not worrying too much about my sweatshirt or anything.
Yeah.
Skates a little bit. That kind of hurt, but we're all right now. Just got some new ones.
There you go. So going in from your juniors, now you went on to play the GMHL and GLHL. Started off with the Bradford Bulls and the Meadford Kings of the GMHL, and then moving on to the Walpen Wolves and the DPR Deacons of the GLHL. So just taking a look at the two leagues that you are kind of like playing in, these are, would you say intermediate or professional?
So GMHL, that's pretty much an extra year juniors, and that I compare it wide variety there too, because there's guys that play in the OHL and they live close to home, and if they would, if they're working, it's almost like, all right, I'll play for an extra year of juniors because I'm close. So some teams are pretty good. I compare it to the NA3 a little bit. There's some divisions, some teams that are way better than others, and the GLHL, that's pretty much Senior A. It's a Senior A league in Wisconsin, the UP, and that league's decent. Technically that's considered semi-pro over there. Some teams have a pretty good fan base. It potentially could be, if they ever join the Fed, it'd be a good spot. They get a pretty good home crowd and pretty good talent. It's just guys that they only practice once a week and they got jobs, families. All these guys pretty much at one point in that league were doing what I'm doing right now or stopped after college. So there's some pretty good talent. It's just there's not enough practice to really be in tip-top shape, and work's the number one priority for those guys. So it's kind of like it's a really good beer league basically. Back home, there's some good players.
Yeah.
Like the 1 year we won it that 1 year, and I was I'm young in shape, and I was third, fourth line. So it was depending where you're at there too. Some teams are stacked. Overall, it's pretty good talent, but good hockey overall.
So would you say it was like a good buffer league for you between juniors and professional? Definitely.
If somebody wanted to keep playing, or that's basically what you do. If you can't make pro right away, you find especially around here or Canada or Michigan, you find a Senior A league that's pretty decent, and then you're still you're playing legit hockey games still.
Yeah.
So stay sharp and get better.
So from juniors to Senior A, and because I know you mentioned you started your pretty much physical start of your game in a professional. Just from junior to into senior A, how did you use your physicality from that standpoint, or did you? You don't have to check. The chance to hit a guy was there. You do it. Be a little more expected of you, but it's that's kind of how I do it. I guess overall, other than that, I was just a bigger guy. Just playing the game, because the fighting was pretty much non-existent. And then it wasn't really till after juniors is when I finally I was always taller, but I was probably my last year juniors, probably about 200 pounds, 205 pounds maybe. Then, that's when I really started lifting hard, and now here I am at like 220 about now. So, and that definitely helped a little bit. The transition to being super physical. Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much back then I would just be a bigger guy and try to get in the way and get to the net and check guys when I could.
So, and again, it's not only just the rock'em sock'em style of hockey that you play. You do play a very gritty aspect of the game. You get into dirty areas that no one else wants to, and you drive the net very well. And that's why it's like, just even looking at your point totals, surprised that you've yet to find the back of the net. And I know it's going to happen before the season's out. I guarantee that. Just looking at the way that you kind of finesse your way into the offensive zone. I know. Again, I'm hyping up his physicality and I'm saying finesse, but really you do use your size to your absolute advantage getting into the front of the net.
Yeah, you gotta. There's like I said, if you're big and you can't move, you're not very useful. But I try to be as a complete of a package as I can be, not only with the fighting and the physical stuff like that, but also trying to stay as fast as I possibly can and be as elusive and mobile and agile as I can for a bigger guy, and that helps out in those situations like that. And hopefully I find one.
Yeah.
Before the end of the year.
And no doubt,
it's been a while.
Doubt you will.
It's been a while.
So, next up, you make the jump here to Senior A to Pro, and you started out with the Zydeco, but you got called up to the SPHL. I want you to walk me through what it was like getting that call from the Fayetteville Marksmen.
Yeah, so we were on our way back from practice, and Everett came up to me, and that night we were also leaving to play Winston-Salem over there, Carolina, and he's like, hey, somebody's gonna pick you up in Winston-Salem. We're going to Fayetteville. You're going up. I'm like, for the weekend or what? He's like, yeah, they're gonna go. You're gonna go up for the weekend. They'll check you out and see how it is. So I'm thinking, like, I had no idea. So I packed a decent amount of stuff, like 3 games I knew for sure. Then after that, they're gonna assess it. But I guess pretty much the team, they needed a guy to bring in some toughness, and because they didn't have it at the time. And yeah, ended up going up there, played those 3 games, got in a fight day 1, which was probably good. Obviously that's what I came there to do pretty much. If they needed it, and it's exactly what happened. And ended up sticking there for about a month and a half, about 2 months or so almost. And yeah, it was cool though, man. I was shocked. I really had no, I never reached out myself or anything like that. So, however they found me, film or word of mouth, pretty cool.
Yeah, and just when you had that initial reaction that you are going to be called up, what was going through your mind at that moment?
At the same time, obviously, like for me, I like. I'm with this group every day. You don't want to leave. It's like leaving your family a little bit. You don't necessarily want to just ditch them. Like I was actually getting excited. Like, yeah, here we go. We're going to Carolina. All fired up, and then I was kind of like, better. It was cool, but at the same time, I was like, man, like, I don't really want to go. Like, I don't want to restart. I'm here with my guys. So that's kind of. But yeah, at the same time, like you got to take it when it's there. So.
And I think again that's a very unique outlook on it, because I know a lot of guys would have that initial reaction is like, all right, I got to make my my stand here. I need to mark my territory and make them notice me. But with you, it was just I want to stay and battle it out with the boys I've been playing with.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that. You know, if you commit to one thing, I want to finish it before I move on. You know, like I don't like, you know, personally, I'm not the type of guy that would be, you know, jumping at the bit all the time. Like I said, if I got called up again this year, you know, for something like that, I wouldn't take it just because, you know, I'm here. Like I like being part of a team, and then the next year, you know, or something like that. Like at that time, it was like early enough in the season to maybe go and do that. But at the same time, you know, I like being with my group, you know, more than just, you know, chomping at the bit and just running off, you know, because it's like technically a better opportunity, you know. But
so, and I asked this to Elijah a couple weeks ago, and I'll ask you the same thing. How do you feel like your game evolved after you came back, or did it even at all from the SP?
100%. Like one thing I noticed is I was just like I was talking about with the juniors, the differences in the levels is everyone's just more solid at the smaller things, which makes the game go faster in general, and pretty much right away, you know, compared to the pace, I'll be honest, it's a little quicker. It's not because anyone's like physically bigger, or like, you know, maybe some guys are stronger, faster. It's more so it's just the game moves quicker because everyone's doing everything more efficiently. And right away I realized that in my first practice, almost more so in the game. Like I noticed in the game a mistake would cost you a lot more. Like there's no, you cannot possibly buy any time to slack, you know, because it'd be exposed.
Yeah.
Because the better players just recognize things like that, and then it's not like there's a huge like difference at all. It's just the little tiny things are done better and more, which makes the game more efficient. And I think that's how it is all the way up, you know, because there too, you had guys going up to the coast, you know, playing a month or so and coming back and things like that. So it, you know, it's definitely, you know, it ain't much, but it's the little things that are just mastered and just more efficient, and that builds your game, you know.
So you made your way back here to Baton Rouge, you know, not a few months ago, and now that you're back, now that you're here, and now that you're I would say you're reestablished here in the Baton Rouge community. What was one thing that you would say that you missed when you went up to Fayetteville?
You know, I loved here, to be honest. You know, the weather, everything. You know, it's nice. Fayetteville's a little gray, a little dark. You know, it just wasn't the same. There wasn't the same buzzery in the city, you know, compared to Baton Rouge, I'll be honest. And then, like I said, it's a tight-knit group, a good group of guys, you know, and that's tough, you know, and you hop into a new group. Some are better than others. Like I've been there before where you hop in a new group in the middle of a season, but, you know, at that level too, a lot of guys are going in and out to the next level up, so it's a little more, you know, that there's a core, but it's different. Like even the core gets, you know, the main group parts of the core get called up, so it's always like it's not as family like is the way I thought, you know, personally where I went, but compared to you know, other places are obviously always different, you know, and you know, any team in any league, you know, there's going to be differences, but that's what I noticed. You know, I love Baton Rouge in general, so that sucked. And then, you know, the weather was obviously colder, which wasn't good, which probably didn't help my outlook. But yeah, the boys in the city, you know, I missed that right away.
And the crawfish.
No, I haven't ate any yet.
No, really?
I don't eat shellfish.
Oh.
Too many parasites.
That's true. I got you. So as we kind of wrap this up, you know, we're heading into the final road game of the season, or the road trip of the season, and before you head back here for the final homestand to end off the season, what is something that you're kind of looking forward to this Athens trip?
I think it's a good opportunity. You know, this is a preview of playoff hockey. You know, it's a test. We get pretty much three free tests to play our game. Pretty much the way we're gonna have to play it if we want to go somewhere in playoffs. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And you know, there's nothing fun about an easy game. You know, they're a good team obviously, and we're a good team. You need those tests. Those are the ones that really matter. You know, anything that's easy to achieve isn't worth it in my opinion, at least for me 100%. But I think for anybody, if it's easy, then everyone can do it. So there's nothing to be proud of. And I think that's this week, you know, these 3 games, we got 3 chances to do it. So that, and, you know, pretty much build some confidence for playoffs which we're going to be in. So good test weekend.
Definitely. And last weekend was a tight-knit game, I would say. A very what was the emotions like for you, just in the rapport of the team? What was the energy like for them?
I think we're good. Overall, the games, they were tight. They're both close, and we were playing good. It was better. I think it was better than the previous weekend. I think we're building. I think we're going in the right direction, to be honest. And sometimes it just doesn't bounce your way completely, especially hockey. It's just one of those games you can't control everything. So, but I think we're on the right track, and I think this weekend's going to be. Hopefully, we see what we can actually do. We put it all together and we play. We'll be fine.
All right. So next weekend, you can see the Zydeco and Mr. Elias Thompson here on the Zydeco TV here on YouTube. If you want to keep up with the Zydeco broadcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this coach's show if you want more of it. And I think that'll about do it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime.
All right, so for Everett Thompson and Elias Thompson, my name is Brian Flores. Thank you so much to Baton Rouge, or I beg your pardon, the Queen here in Baton Rouge and 1717 for always allowing us and being humble enough to allow us to stay up and get up here on the stage and give you guys the coach's show. And I know you guys have a lot of entertainment choices here in Baton Rouge. I'm so honored that you decided to make us your evening entertainment here on this beautiful Wednesday. So until next time, my name is Brian Flores saying so long and good night. We hope you guys have enjoyed the show, and we'll tune in this Friday against the Rock Lobsters. Have a great one, everybody.
Official sponsor of Baton Rouge Zydeco.
At Don Seafood, our weekend brunch isn't just a meal. It's the moment you've been waiting for all week. Begin your legendary weekend with brunch favorites like our shrimp and grits, crab cake benedict, and of course, bottomless mimosas. Let's be honest, the party doesn't start until Don Seafood hits the table. From our team at Don Seafood, we want to thank you for the past 90 years and cheers to many more together.
The Men's Network started when I went to a computer club meeting in the 7th grade that Brett organized. At that point, I had never met anyone that was as good at computers as Brett was. And by the 8th grade, we figured out that this was something that we could do professionally.
We moved to Baton Rouge to go to LSU, and that's really where our business got planted.
Give Immense a call. Let us show you how IT should be done.
Has meat. Tremonti's